Welcome, Claudia Van Houten, to the Deal Room. How you doing, Claudia?
Doing fantastic. Thank you, Chris.
All right. Good to have you here. We're going to be talking about a recent deal that you got. I don't want to have any spoilers, but in the Deal Room, this is where we break down how you find, fund, fix, and ultimately flip properties, building wealth, and the lessons learned along the way. But before you even got into real estate, can you take us back to how did real estate even get in the equation? Like actually, right before real estate got into the equation, right before you started real estate, where were you at? Like, what were you doing, and what was your situation?
Awesome. Yeah. So actually, real estate sort of happened to me. I was in college when my mom and I decided to buy our first home, and it was 2005. As you remember, maybe everybody in real estate should remember this, but 2007 was the housing market crashing, and I graduated in '08. So by the time I graduated and I was moving out of state, I needed to sell my home, and I was underwater, and there was no way I could have afforded to go through a situation like that. So I went through different thought processes, and my mom and I decided that the best path forward was to rent that house. 10 years later, we still had that home and were able to cash out refinance. And when I saw the power of building equity on a home, even on a scenario like that one where I would have been underwater, selling that home when I really needed to do it back then, I was immediately attracted to understand that even deeper. And just so happened that I had mentors around me. One of my supervisors at the time in my corporate job happened to have 5 rentals, and I was really curious. He was really excited one day, and he was like, "I'm on my way to close my 5th rental," and I was like, "Wait, what? People do this for a living?" And he was like, "Yeah, there's people that have hundreds of rental properties." And I immediately started Googling, listening to podcasts, and he taught me a lot on how to do the cash flow analysis and actually look deeper into potentially getting more homes. So that was me, like, what, 2005, 2008, when real estate happened to me. Yeah.
Did you have any doubts like going into that? So obviously you had the first rental, which was your home, but going into that first like intentional investment property that you ever did you have any fears or doubts going into that?
Oh my goodness, yes, a ton of them. The numbers never look, honestly, like super great. One of the advice that I give people, and now even to myself, I do my best to remind myself, is to look at a cash flow that has multiple years. Because a lot of times, like, that year number one looks tough. It's not, everybody talks about like how beautiful would be like a 10% cash on cash. And to be honest, it was almost impossible. So I kept asking myself, how are people doing this? And then I realized that when I take into consideration equity and a time frame that is way longer than year one, is when things starts to turn around for me. And because my strategy is long-term hold, now when I look at every rental, I look at a cash flow that's at least 5 years or more.
Yeah, and ultimately, the rental property game is very simple, and it's very hard to lose at that game if you buy it right, and then you just let time do its thing. Because at the end of the day, like on a long enough time horizon, you're going to have a lot of equity. Now, if you do it right, you're going to have some cash flow along the way, and it should pay for itself, and hopefully a little bit extra. So this deal right here, I'm going to show the screen again. All right, remember that deal? Looking good, looking good. So this is a deal you recently picked up. So you got the living room or kitchen here, looking a mess, looking a mess.
Yes. So this house had a pet living in it, and if you look at that photo with that dog on the bed, um, you can see like droppings and poop on the background on that carpet. So yeah, it was rough. Smell was quite something.
It smelled like opportunity, right?
Yeah, there you go. It smelled like money.
Yeah. So, this deal, what stood out to you when you were looking at this deal to know that, hey, it's worth looking forward. It's worth pursuing.
Yeah, so actually, I'm super excited about this deal. I've been building my network and sharing with people what I need, what my buy box is, what are the things that I'm looking for. So this deal actually came across by a local wholesaler who knew that I wanted something close to my home. I have two little ones, so I want to be fairly close to my rentals, and actually, this is like 5 minutes from my home. When they called me and gave me the numbers and the address, like I look at my neighborhoods honestly like on a daily basis, so I understand ARVs pretty well. Um, and I don't know if you want to talk about numbers right away, but they gave me the numbers. I was pretty much 70% of ARV, and I was 5 minutes from my house. It has plenty equity, and another things that I try to do is like play the depreciation game, and I needed to buy a home for rental purposes, so I was like, yes, give it to me. Within 12 hours I had it on the contract.
Nice, nice. So 70% deal in this market, 5 minutes from your home, your own backyard. That's like home run.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, am I looking at this wrong? I don't know, but it's like 5 minutes from my house. It looks amazing. I'm gonna run it by a hard money lender, see if they see it the way I see it. And they were like, this is a home run. Yeah, absolutely, we will fund it. And yeah, thanks. Everything fell in place.
Were there any
So
red
really
flags?
excited about it.
Were there any red
Say that
flags?
again.
Any red flags? Any things that you just weren't sure about or a little worried about moving forward on this one?
If you look at the photos, there was some damage on like the ceiling, so I was unsure if it was like water entry or just like AC pan overrun. Nothing honestly like super major. Nothing big that I honestly, the only red flag I thought to myself is like, it's so good. It's
It's
like,
too good to
when
be
it's
true.
like so good. Yeah, exactly. That was it for me. But I was super excited. I honestly, it's one of my favorite deals so far. But along the way, I've picked up deals that I would say are not as good looking as this one, but have given me the knowledge and the experience to now be able to understand deals much better, and sort of paying the tax of not knowing and not being in the game a lot. But this one is a pretty good deal.
Awesome, awesome. So you mentioned hard money. So it sounds like you funded this with a hard money lender.
Yeah, so this one I wanted to go in as low cash out of pocket as possible before essentially in the first closing, because I was gonna fix it, rent it, and then once I have a tenant in it, I'm gonna do a cash out refinance with a DSCR.
Yeah. So the
Um,
first strategy,
so
basically.
yeah, pretty much.
Mhm. Okay. When you were having that conversation with this lender, is this one that you've worked with before, or is this the first time working with this hard money lender?
So I've never worked with this lender before, but he's in our community, and I've talked to him several times about potentially doing business together. The closing was supposed to happen super quick, about a week from me signing the deal. So that's another reason why I went with Harmony. I've had experience doing private money loans before, but it takes me a while to get the private money on the table. I never want to feel like I'm rushing my private money lenders. So when I talked to this person and I presented the opportunity, like I mentioned, part of our team, and he was like, absolutely can close within a week, and their terms were attractive, so I went with them and they deliver.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a good distinction. So private money lenders versus hard money lenders. Hard money lenders, this is their business. That's all they do. So when you find good ones, especially ones that are local, they're pretty dependable. They're not they're not going to flinch. Like when all the numbers work for them, they're ready to. That's what they do. They loan money. A private money lender, it's their own money. They've got a life and they've got a job, and just depending on your relationship with them, it may not be as smooth. It could be, especially over time. But that first time or two working with a private money lender, you never know, and it does cause a little bit of uncertainty. Which you're working with a wholesaler, you need certainty. You need certainty.
Yeah, exactly. And it was such a quick closing turnaround that I was just feeling more comfortable going with Harmony.
Yeah. And what you should do, and if you haven't done this already, is go back to all those private money lenders that maybe you were thinking about or talking to, and let them know that you just did this deal. It juices them up for the next time.
I like it.
So what were some of the challenges that you had with the remodel? Like looking at the pictures, it seemed like it was pretty much all cosmetic.
Yeah, honestly, for this one, everything that I did was pretty much cosmetic. I did close up that they had a formal dining, and I closed it up into a third bedroom, just because the rental comps had better better comps with an extra room. Originally it was a 2-bedroom.
It was a 2-bedroom,
2-bath.
Oh, okay,
it was 2-bedroom, 2-bath with a study, but the study doesn't have a closet and you have the French doors. So actually, it's really not a room. So what I did is I closed the formal dining, and now it's like 3 bedrooms. It has its own closet, the new dining, that it's now a bedroom, and it has 3 bedrooms, 2-bath, and then the study.
Okay, do you remember what the purchase price was?
Say that again.
Do you remember what the purchase price was?
Yeah. So I bought it at $370, and the ARV was around $540.
Okay, $370, ARV $540, and then the repairs. What was the initial?
So the repairs, we had the Harmony lender come out. So I had my own estimates, and the Harmony lender came out and did their own as well, kind of double check. They were forecasting 27. I already listed it. I spent about just over 20. There are some things that I decided not to do, but eventually I will have to do like the roof. I'm working through like quotes and things like that, but it's ready to go in terms of putting it on the market.
Okay, then you were pretty close to budget. I mean, if you take into account you had budgeted the roof, you spent $7,000 less roughly than what you originally estimated. Eventually, you're going to have to do the roof. You never know, actually.
Yes.
Insurance may pay for that, but so it seems like you were fairly on track with your repairs.
Yeah, I was very proud of myself. I've been burned in the past where I over renovated one of my projects. Just get into it, and it's like one thing after another that you keep adding to the budget. And this one, I decided to be like very, very strict with myself, and just like, okay, this is the budget. It was very tough, but I just stuck with the things that I said I would do. And even though I don't love the countertop, I left the countertop.
There you go. Yeah, you're not living in there. It's a home, and to someone, that home is great. And providing quality housing. So love it. Was there a moment like during the rehab process where maybe you were questioning your strategy there? Maybe you should be spending more.
That I should be what again?
That you should be over rehabbing is kind of what you were leading to.
Yes, there's many times where I was like, that for example, the main shower, all I did was essentially resurface it. Mm-hmm. When I started the work, I actually found that it was cracked. So I essentially got different quotes, and there was a couple quotes that told me, hey, we can repair it without having to, lift the whole thing and then do brand new shower. But some other people obviously wanted to try to upsell me into like look, you could do a new shower. So that one was tempting. And And then the other one that was tempting is as I was closing that dining room into another room, there were some additional things that came up, like, oh, look, you should do another entry here and knock down this wall and and get super creative. And I immediately didn't even allow myself to think about it because I knew I would have fall for it. So I was like, no, I'm not knocking down walls. I'm actually putting up a wall. So
Yeah, it can definitely be tempting, and but once you've gone through the process a time or two and had to pay for those things, you realize, oh, okay, maybe I don't need to do that.
yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna pull up the screen again. We're gonna check out some of the after pictures. This is the front, looking good. Kitchen, I like the countertops for rental. I think that's great. Even like starting on, did you redo the backsplash here?
So I did do the backsplash, which probably was like a splurge. But I felt like it gave, like, I told myself I'm not gonna do the countertop, but I'll do the backsplash. And then the floors, we did a ton of cleaning on those floors. Obviously because of the pets that were there before.
Yeah, looks good. So looks good, and especially for a rental, because ultimately, if there's turnover or anything, you don't need to replace carpet or damage. So with flooring, you had some high quality, or you had some good tile. It was in good condition, just needed clean. That's probably what I've done as well. The only thing you're really balancing is value, because you have your appraisal on the back end, and you got to meet the value. So you just need to make sure that your remodel looks like the comps and the values that you're trying to achieve. So you have this on the market now. It's a rental property. You just listed it like a week ago, right?
Yeah, that's right. Actually, I think it was about, what is today? Wednesday, Tuesday. Yeah, less than a week ago. It was last Thursday.
Okay, and then so you bought it at 370. You think it's worth? You said 540, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Your repairs, you're at around 20 plus closing costs, and you get the refi. And then what do you have listed for rent?
We have it listed for rent at 3,200. We are really close to hospitals in the area, so I'm actually even trying to see if trying to furnish and do something where people like midterm rentals would work. But I'm trying to balance having to buy furniture and going in that market. But I would be able to rent for a lot higher. So I'm in the process of looking at those numbers. But in the meantime, I was like, let's put it in the market, just a typical rental, 3,200, and see where we go from there.
Yeah. So you can talk to Jamie about the short-term rental stuff. She knows all that. She knows where to find some good furniture. But it's true. You can make a lot more money if you're going to do short-term or mid-term rentals. Obviously, you have to furnish it. The completely different business model. It's very active. So either you or some management company's going to have to stay on top of that. But you potentially could be making a lot more gross. How did this one feel? Like finally getting on the market?
Oh, I'm so excited. It's gonna be big for us because I will do accelerated depreciation on it, so it's gonna help on the tax front. So from a cash on cash return, honestly, this is not like an amazing cash on cash return. But when you look at the amount of equity that we'll have and the help on the taxes, it's a no-brainer. As a matter of fact, when I run it in the Mesa Excel file, then it definitely showed that I should flip it. But trying to stick to my strategy, which is just grow wealth and help lower my tax liability.
Yeah, at the end of the day, so flipping, it's a good way to make money. But you have a W-2, right? Like, so you have a full-time job, right? Yeah, and your husband?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so flipping, if you're making good money and you already have income coming in, getting a lump sum of cash, doesn't hurt. No one's going to turn it down. But if you don't need it, playing the long game, it's so much better. So you get the tax benefit, depending on the situation, hopefully some cash flow, and you get appreciation. and then you get depreciation, of course, tax benefits, and the equity pay down. Play the long game. And I've told folks, like, at the end, 10, 15, 20 years from now, you're going to be more happy about all the assets you still own, not the ones you sold off.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So did this particular project, did you learn anything new? Was there anything you learned either about yourself on just managing the project or anything at all versus the other ones that you've done?
I think the power of continuing to network is something that you hear a lot, but to me was finally found a wholesaler who had a deal that had enough fun in it, and it was like a win-win. Before I had struggled with finding the right deal, and I kept hearing a lot about, no, just make sure you keep connecting, keep building networks, and honestly, the way I think about it is real estate is a team sport. It requires a ton of different people, whether it's lending, the wholesale partner, title company, etc. And it's just like, oh man, this is awesome. Finally, there was an opportunity where I worked with a lender that was part of our team. I was able to work with a wholesaler that viewed the value of passing some gains to the investor, aka me, as well as him making money through the process. So I was really excited to have found this one. So
love it. Is there anything you would say to folks that they want to do what you just did? They're on the fence. They're a little nervous about doing the first one. Anything you'd say to those folks?
Yeah, so this one has been like the fourth that I've done kind of locally and recently, and what I would say is surround yourself with people who have been in the business a lot longer than you and help you kind of validate the numbers. That's one. Then also establish a strategy that you're going to stick with. Real estate is so large, and you could go any directions, like multifamily, single family, Airbnb, long term, and you could easily get overwhelmed and actually never really achieve something. Try to establish a strategy and then go out and communicate what your strategy is and figure out how people can support you in that strategy. And then the last thing is, once you have done those things, and you have supported yourself with the right mentors and the right teams and the right community, and you establish your strategy, it's really nerve-wracking to do that first one, but you have to jump. Actually, like, I've learned the most by actually doing those few deals that I've done before, and it has led me to this one. So this one to me is like, it's great to show everybody a home run, but like the last one, I definitely over renovated, and I probably would have over renovated this one if I didn't have that prior experience. So it's just a process. But surrounding yourself with people that know the game and establishing a strategy is the best recommendation I have.
Love it. And last question, how's Wealth Passage helped you along the way with these deals?
Oh, this is great. So this actually, that's the community is one of the strongest community of people that I have at my fingertips. Like, if I have a question, I remember, like, I've texted you, Chris, or I've texted in the community, and people have answered either immediately or soon, shortly after. When you have questions, and you will, like, especially if you're starting new or if you're new to the area, just having a strong community of people has been a huge game changer for me. Is that community that I would say that have given me the confidence to be able to acquire the last 4 deals that I have done within the last year or so.
Love it. Awesome. Well, super excited to see these. I can't wait to see future ones that you do, and we'll have you back on the show and we'll talk about those too. Love seeing just the whole transition, like how you find them, how you find them, the journey of getting it flipped all the way, and then you flipped it into a rental into your portfolio, and it's down the road. Who knows? Maybe you'll sell it, you'll get a lot of equity, and you'll turn it into a couple more rentals. So super excited. Thanks for coming on the show. And if you would like to learn more on how to do deals, just like Claudia did, whether it's to do your first rental or wholesale or or flip, scan the QR code and we'll take a look at what you're doing right now in real estate and figure out what the constraints are, what's holding you back, and see how we can fit, help you out and help you reach your goals. So thanks for watching. Thanks, Claudia. See you all next time.